I had uncovered a secret inheritance my siblings never knew about, and when I made the decision to reveal it, I set in motion a series of events that nearly tore our entire family apart. The inheritance itself was significant. Over $2 million in liquid assets, property holdings, and investments that had been hidden away for decades. But the real cost of that discovery was not measured in money. It was measured in trust destroyed, accusations that flew like weapons, and relationships that may never recover from what we learned about each other during those dark months. Let me take you back to where this all began, because you need to understand the context of how this discovery even happened. Our father passed away 3 years ago. When he died, my mother was devastated. They had been married for 47 years. They had built a life together. They had raised 3 children and watched us grow into adults with families of our own. My father's death left a void that she struggled to fill. For months after the funeral, she barely left the house. She stopped socializing. She stopped taking care of herself the way she used to. My siblings and I were genuinely worried about her. We thought we might lose her too, not to death necessarily, but to grief and depression and the kind of profound loneliness that comes when the person you have spent your entire adult life with suddenly ceases to exist. So when my mother finally seemed to be pulling out of that darkness, when she started asking me to help her organize my father's papers and his financial records, I was actually relieved. I thought it was a sign that she was beginning to heal. I thought she was starting to move forward. I wanted to support that process. So I spent a Saturday afternoon in my father's office going through filing cabinets, organizing documents, creating spreadsheets to track his various accounts and investments. I was doing what I thought was a helpful thing. I was doing what I thought would give my mother peace of mind and clarity about her financial situation. It was in the bottom drawer of his desk, in a folder marked simply with the initials EM, that I found the first document. It was a bank statement from a financial institution I had never heard of, an offshore account. The statement showed a balance of approximately $1.2 million. The account had been open for 32 years. Deposits had been made regularly throughout that time, and the most recent statement, dated just 2 months before my father's death, showed that the balance had grown to $1.4 million. I remember staring at that statement for what felt like an eternity. I could not understand what I was looking at. My father had never mentioned an offshore account. My mother had never mentioned an offshore account. There was no obvious explanation for why my father would have such a significant amount of money hidden away in a foreign financial institution. My first thought was that he had been involved in something illegal, money laundering, tax evasion, some kind of criminal activity that he had never disclosed to his family. I was actually frightened. I remember my hands shaking as I continued to search through the filing cabinet, hoping to find some explanation, some document that would clarify what this account was for and how it had been established. What I found instead was a series of letters, handwritten letters in my father's distinctive handwriting, addressed to someone named Elena. The letters were deeply personal. They were intimate. They discussed love, commitment, and a life that existed parallel to the life my father lived with our family. As I read those letters, the full scope of what I was looking at became clear. My father had maintained a long-term relationship with another woman for more than 3 decades. He had fathered a child with that woman, a child who had been born 2 years after I was born, a half-sibling that my siblings and I had never known existed, a person whose entire life had been funded by this hidden offshore account. The inheritance was not just money. The inheritance was the revelation that my father had lived a double life. I remember sitting in that office, holding those letters, and feeling like the world had shifted beneath my feet. Everything I thought I knew about my father, about my family, about my own identity and my place in the family structure had been fundamentally altered by what I had discovered. I had a sibling, a half-sibling who had been living her entire life in another country, supported by my father's money, loved by my father in a way that my siblings and I had never known. My father had been sending money to this woman and this child for 32 years. 32 years of deception, 32 years of living a lie while his official family went about their lives completely unaware that he had another family, another daughter, another entire existence that he had kept hidden. I should have left those documents where I found them. I should have closed that filing cabinet, erased that afternoon from my memory, and allowed my father's secret to die with him. That would have been the kind thing to do. That would have been the compassionate choice. But I did not make that choice. I made the choice to uncover the full truth. I contacted the offshore bank. I obtained copies of all the financial records. I discovered that my father's will had included a provision that this account was to be transferred to his daughter Elena upon his death, that she was to receive not just the $1.4 million in the account, but also the deeds to 3 properties that my father had purchased in her name over the years. The total value of the inheritance was closer to $3.2 million. And that is when I made the decision that would set everything in motion. I decided that my siblings deserved to know the truth. I decided that my mother deserved to know the truth. I decided that this secret could not remain hidden, that it was morally wrong to allow my father's deception to continue even after his death. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being courageous and honest. I thought I was protecting my family from being manipulated or deceived further. I did not understand, at that moment, the full consequences of the choice I was about to make. I scheduled a family meeting. I told my mother that there was something important I had discovered in father's papers that needed to be discussed. I told my siblings that we needed to gather and talk about father's estate. I gave no indication of what the conversation would entail. When we all sat down together in my mother's living room on a Sunday afternoon, I laid out everything I had found: the offshore account, the letters, the other woman, the daughter, the properties, the money that had been hidden away for 3 decades. The silence that followed my revelation was profound. My mother went white. I thought for a moment that she might have a heart attack. She had to sit down. She had to put her head between her knees. My sister started crying, not sad tears, but tears of rage and betrayal. My brother immediately started asking questions, demanding to know how I had obtained this information, asking if I had consulted with a lawyer before making this public, asking me what right I had to make this decision on behalf of the entire family. And then came the accusations. My mother accused my father of terrible things. She said that the marriage had been a lie. She said that their entire life together had been a deception. She said that she had wasted 47 years with a man who had been living a double life. My siblings accused me of destroying the family for the sake of discovering information that should have remained hidden. They said that I had violated my father's privacy by breaking into his personal papers. They said that I had no right to make this information public without consulting with them first. They said that I had damaged our family in ways that could never be repaired. What I had not anticipated was that my siblings would blame me more than they would blame our father. I had expected them to be shocked and angry at our father's deception. I had expected them to feel betrayed by the revelation that he had lived a double life. What I did not expect was that they would turn their anger on me for being the person who had revealed that deception. But that is exactly what happened. They accused me of being self-righteous. They accused me of being obsessed with the truth to the point of destroying people. They accused me of using this discovery as some kind of power play or attempt to make myself the moral center of the family. They said that I should have buried those documents and never told anyone what I had found. And the hardest part was that I began to wonder if they were right. I began to question my own motives. Had I revealed this information because it was the right thing to do? Or had I revealed it because I wanted to be the one who knew the truth? Had I been motivated by a desire to protect my family? Or had I been motivated by a need to prove that I was the only one who cared about honesty and integrity? Had I done something noble, or had I done something destructive and cruel? The legal implications were immediate and complex. Once the inheritance became known, issues of legitimacy had to be addressed. The woman Elena came forward and provided documentation proving that she was indeed my father's biological daughter. She provided documents establishing my father's paternity and demonstrating that she was the rightful heir to the properties and the offshore account. But that money and those properties were not just my father's secret inheritance. They were part of what should have been distributed among his 3 official children. My siblings and I believed we had a legal claim to at least a portion of that inheritance, and Elena believed that she had an equal right to claim what my father had left her. The lawsuit took 18 months. The family was divided. My mother initially supported my claim that Elena was not entitled to anything, that the inheritance should be divided among the 3 official children. But as the case progressed and she learned more about Elena's life, about the child she had raised essentially as a single mother while my father provided financial support, my mother's position softened. She eventually withdrew her opposition to Elena's claim. My siblings remained bitter and angry throughout the entire process. The settlement, when it finally came, was messy and incomplete. Elena received the properties and a portion of the offshore account. My siblings and I received payments that were substantially less than the original inheritance would have been. No one was happy with the outcome. Everyone felt that they had been cheated or wronged or treated unfairly by some aspect of the settlement. The family was fractured in ways that no legal resolution could repair. What I learned from this experience was that truth and honesty are not always the right choices, even when they feel like moral imperatives. Sometimes secrets exist for reasons. Sometimes deceptions are maintained not out of cruelty, but out of a desire to protect the people we love from pain that cannot be undone. My father kept his other family secret, not because he wanted to hurt us, but because he was trying to protect everyone from a truth that he knew would be destructive. By revealing that truth, I destroyed my mother's sense of her marriage. I forced my siblings to confront the fact that our father had loved someone else and had built a parallel life that we knew nothing about. I created a situation where my half-sister had to come forward and claim her place in the family, which brought all of the pain and conflict into the open. I did not heal anything by uncovering this secret. I did not make anything better. I only made everything worse. 3 years have passed since that family meeting. My mother and I have repaired our relationship, but it is different now. There is a distance between us that did not exist before. My sister barely speaks to me. My brother has forgiven me intellectually, but I can see in his eyes that he has not forgiven me emotionally. Elena reached out to me once and we had a brief conversation. She understood why I had done what I did, even if my siblings did not. But that brief connection did not lead anywhere. We are not family. We are just people connected by an accident of birth, and my decision to reveal a secret that had been kept hidden for 3 decades. This is the inheritance I uncovered. Not the money or the properties, but the cost of honesty, the price of refusing to let sleeping dogs lie, the consequence of believing that truth matters more than the relationships it destroys. I had uncovered a secret inheritance my siblings never knew about, and in doing so, I had inherited something far more painful than money could ever be. I had inherited the knowledge that sometimes the most honest thing you can do is also the most destructive thing you can do. And that knowledge is a burden I will carry with me for the rest of my life.